Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Rune News. I am your host, Ryan, and as always, it's bloody good to have you guys here. This is the second episode of Rune News this week. We're working overtime because Jagex felt like pulling the old switcheroo on us, which is totally fine with me. They've fixed whatever issues they were having and were able to perform this week's update just a day late rather than a week late. Here's the post they made, which also means this is the best part here. The combat project rebalance, the evolution of combat for Oldschool Runescape, is no longer going to happen on the 5th of June. It'll happen next week on the 29th of May. So we're getting that a week early, which is beautiful. And just a quick side note, some people were not happy with me calling the combat rebalance the evolution of combat for Oldschool Runescape, which is obviously just a play on the whole EOC meme that RuneScape once had. Combat is evolving in Oldschool Runescape, just not the same way. If you had a problem with me calling it evolution of combat, you have brain damage and you can suck a dick. For everyone else though, we've got a question for you guys to answer in the comment section down below. Yesterday we asked which your favorite raid was, but this time I want to know what your favorite bossing. What is your favorite bossing content to do in Oldschool Runescape? Put that in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe while you're down there if you got a big cock. And if you don't, still do it anyway and you'll get one. My name is Ryan. You're watching Rune News, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming by to the second episode of Rune News this week. We're watching Rune News, you're watching Rune News, and you're watching Rune News. A day after Rune News. This week's update for Oldschool Runescape includes minigame tweaks, skilling adjustments, and more as titled in front of us. So Jagex is starting off with a few more rebalance changes for the skilling aspect. So they're now making it that originally the expert mining gloves were giving you like 3 extra charges for everything you mine, including sandstone. They've now changed that. They removed it, but they're rebuffing it so you get 1 extra sandstone per mine, so that all the people that want to use sandstone mining still get some sort of benefit out of the mining gloves. Volcano now gives you, I think it's currently giving you rewards on XP even if you don't damage the armor, so people just leech and AFK. You now have to deal armor and health damage to be able to get some rewards, and I think mostly just for XP in Volcano. I could be wrong on that, I haven't done it yet. Brimhaven, they just made more adjustments to the way that you enter Brimhaven, so you can't go in and keep tagging totems to get insane agility XP. And they've also made some adjustments to the pickpocketing for the paladins, gnomes, and heroes. They've actually made it so you get more XP and you have a better chance of pickpocketing as well. The fail rate is being reduced even further, which is awesome. And the XP rates are going to just scale out of the fucking world all the way up to 99 from level 70, which is awesome. For example, on the Paladins, you'll be getting around 90k XP now at level 70 and 180k XP now at 99, which is pretty decent, especially for clue scroll hunting. And then we've got some sort of money maker. Oh yeah, the Fever Spiders. Oh boy. Fever Spiders, if you are like super efficient with a cannon and everything, you can get like 2.5 mil gold per hour at the Fever Spiders. So that's not okay by Jagex's standards, which makes sense because it's a super low effort and a super low combat creature to be killing for a fuck ton of money. You just sit there an hour and get a bunch of pure essence. They've now nerfed it, so they're removing the rune, medium helmet, and battle axes, replacing them with adamant ones, and the water battle staffs are now limpwort roots. So still a good source of limpwort roots, hopefully, and still some decent money, but nowhere near as much as you were once making, which is honestly a good thing because it was like better money than Vorkaf if you were max gear. So some of you may have liked that. Of course I would have loved it too, but it's actually just not a good idea to have. So good thing they nerfed that. And then they've corrected a bunch of messages no one cares about. Minigame improvements. They've made some improvements to Trouble Brewing, but no one gives a shit about Trouble Brewing because it's a garbage game, so we'll move on and not read any of that garbage. And then other changes. Not a whole lot going on in here, but there is one important note. Oh, well, actually two. The Grand Exchange, instead of the plus and minus 5%, you can now change that number to be plus minus 2%, 3%, 24%, 69, whatever you want, 911 even if you will. So that's pretty cool. You can just kind of adjust your Grand Exchange stuff, but also the Project Rebalance combat changes in Theatre of Blood with the Verzik P2 changes, so you get 1 spider if you're solo, and the blue ball will do less damage. That's actually happening this week because a different team was working on it, so shout out to whichever part of the team was working on that part of the combat rebalance. Theatre of Blood changes are in this week. They only really matters for people who end up like their team dies in P2 and they need to kind of solo carry the game, or the small and irrelevant part of the community that thinks solo top is even remotely worth your fucking time doing. So that's nice update, good shit. And then just a bunch of other changes, nothing too important. There's a warning message that's been added to prevent players from accidentally releasing their mature Tico Salamander, which I haven't done that yet, so I'm sure that's a good addition. And then something about people with epilepsy having seizures or something, I don't know, just grow some fucking balls. And then they've got a new section in the blog, which doesn't matter, we'll ignore, and LMS is no longer on Osworlds, unfortunately. So Daddy will not be getting raises this week on stream, but I'll be live probably this time now if you're watching this video as it's been released. So thank you very much. We'll have a look at the RuneScape 3 update this week, which we'll keep nice and short. Grand Exchange, look at some people's dog shit drops, and then that'll be it for Rune News. It's fucking dog shit. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Grand Exchange segment for Rune News. This week's biggest rise is the AWST hood, and next week it's likely going to spike a little bit more because they're adding magical damage. This is now the play to go with, unless you're going to have Virtus or AWST. People might choose Dagonhide, people might choose Blue Moon, but the AWST hood is actually going to have some use for once. And it's the cheapest option too, so it's going to rise only a little bit more, and it should plateau out and hold at about 200k. Now, this is actually a big one. The biggest loss this week is the teleport anchoring scroll. We've been holding this one back a little bit to see how it goes, but these are actually going for about 900k at the moment on the Grand Exchange, even though they're valued at 2.1 mil. So what I recommend doing, if you want to make a bit of money in your desk coffer and some profit, buy them now for 900k. Throw them in desk coffer. You should get about 2.1 to 2.3 mil. It'll be 2.2 mil roughly added to desk coffer, which is good for buying back your gear, going into private instances, getting your stuff back from raids. It can actually save you a lot of money. So if you have the spare cash and you want to make sure you can top up your desk coffer, teleport anchoring scrolls are still a good buy currently, but they will drop in price. You've got about 10 days before these bottom out and are no longer worth doing. Next, the Termican Shadow Uncharged is dropping back down to where it rightfully should be, and the T-Bow should be meeting it here shortly. This is just basic economics 101. With the combat rebalance changes coming out, Termican Shadow is actually at a slight loss with this whole scenario, but it's still absolutely busted. People just panic sell, price gouges predators. This is standard and to be expected. And like we said yesterday in the mole slippers, they should have been bought up if you were there. If you were part of this hype here, good fucking boy, you're making a bit of cash, but don't worry, this is just the beginning. These are going to continue to rise. This is exactly what we want to see and what we're going to see. So if you want to invest in mole slippers, today is the day going forward, because 12 months from this day forward, mark my words, it'll be 30 mil per pair or unsubscribe. My name is Wade Green. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for this week's, again, Rune News episode for the Grand Exchange segment. You've been watching the Grand Exchange at Rune News. My name is Wade Green. You're watching the Grand Exchange segment from Rune News, and this is the Grand Exchange segment on Rune News, and you're watching the Grand Exchange segment on Rune News. Our first Ironman moment for the week goes to, I don't know if they're an Ironman, but they've got two salamanders almost back to back. I'm not sure what the drop rate is. I heard they're pretty rare. Cool, good stuff, mate. Next up, we have some idiot getting a Dragon Warhammer, which I don't care about. I'm more concerned about the attitude of this person, okay? Uploads the image to a Discord server and goes, tags me. Has the audacity to fucking tag me and goes, hey, for the next episode of Rune News. I don't give a fuck, okay? The only reason this is even in the video today is because there was no other screenshots recently of any drops or moments to come into the server, so I chose it. But it came up this small, and it's staying this small. Don't ever fucking tag me again. I don't care what you've got. You ping me, you're on the fucking naughty list. And finally, some other idiot who I don't know the name of got a Dragon Harpoon, which is good. And we'll end on that positive note there. Thank you very much, guys, for coming out of Rune News this week, the second time round. I really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Next week is the combat rebalance changes. Looking forward to that shit. Have a good night. Thank you for watching Rune News. And you're watching Rune News for again this week. There's a lot of Rune News to be watching. So thank you again for watching Rune News. You're watching Rune News and you're watching Rune News. This is the easiest move in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him. God damn. Fuck me. Look at that boy.